I gotta figure out how to come back as not
You
the.
have to log out completely out of all your devices.
I'm logged into my Zoom as myself. I think it's because I logged into the website. Let me see if that's got to be what it is. Let me.
Yeah, I won't be able to assist if you're on as well.
That's
So
why.
I have to end it and then you have to
Okay.
look at everything.
All right. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. On behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Northern Virginia chapter, led by our president, Gina Wood, and also by our first vice president of programs, Lanita Thweet, I am Rhonda Moore, chair of the Economic Empowerment Committee. I would like to welcome you to our We All About the Business panel, where we will discuss side hustles, workforce development, and entrepreneurship. You are in for a dynamic treat this afternoon. Now I would like to turn it over to Ebony Montgomery to introduce our first panelist.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairwoman of our Economic Committee, Rhonda Moore. Our first dynamic speaker today is Ms. Rolita Clark. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Twin Pearls Production Company, and that company is experienced in providing counsel to business owners and corporate organizations on strategic matters that equate to direct business results. Rolita's services that she offers range from business startups, business coaching, business management, course development, onboarding programs, along with a host of other business and education services. Introducing our first speaker today, Ms. Rolita Clark.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak with you all today. Thank you so much to the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Northern Virginia chapter, for inviting me today. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how I went from working a 9-to-5 job to creating a side hustle to ultimately being the entrepreneur that was described by Miss Ebony. So to get started, my background, I graduated from Norfolk State University in 2005, go Spartans. And I graduated with an entrepreneurship degree with a triple minor in marketing, management, and Egyptology. Some people are probably like, Egyptology, what is that? What does it have to do with anything? Essentially, I know Egyptian culture and I can read hieroglyphics. That's about it, okay? But from there, I was trying to figure out how I could actually use my degree to start a business. I always knew that I did not want to work for anybody else. I actually come from a family of entrepreneurs on my dad's side. My grandfather, he opened a convenience store in Falls Church, Virginia. And it's still standing today, just owned by another family. And then my father created multiple businesses throughout his life. And that's who you see back there, that's my daddy. And he just put that spirit of wanting to have your own and wanting to work for yourself in me. So that's part of the reason why I actually went for entrepreneurial studies. However, I knew coming straight out of college that might not be the most economic and feasible thing to do, because people always tell you, you need money to start a business, right? And so from there, I started temping and doing different jobs to where I landed a job being a receptionist at a company in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. I worked that job for 5 years. And then I actually obtained my master's degree while working there. And so I went to the marketing, vice president of marketing, and said, hey, I have my master's degree, and I want to be a part of the marketing team. Well, this guy pretty much flat out told me, no, I don't have a position for you. And I said, well, here's my 2 weeks. And so within that 2-week process, I actually have an identical twin sister, and she's a recruiter. So she was like, sis, I have a job. I don't know if you're going to be interested in it, but I can get you in the door. I said, at this point, I need a job, right? Because I'm still young, still living with mom, straight out of college, paying off all of these different degrees and things of that nature. So I came to a company in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, not too far from the other job, to be honest with you. And I started out as what they call a training coordinator. I had no idea what training was about, what learning and development was about, no idea whatsoever. But the team was small, and I specifically asked my sister if there was room for growth in this position. And she said, well, it's only you and your boss, so I can assume that you're going to have a little bit of room for growth. So ended up working there. They hired me as a training coordinator, where I managed all of the employee or internal training for the organization. Used a ton of different softwares that I hadn't used, I knew of, but hadn't used just yet. Being there for about 6 months, my boss left me. Yeah, that's what I'm like, ooh. So boss left me 6 months in. Then I had to work the entire training department for about 120 employees at that time by myself, literally learning the ropes of training, learning development, and trying to figure some things out. I then hired in my manager, who became a mentor, and she's still a really close friend till this day, and we share the same birthday, and she has a set of twins, so it was like divine intervention for me, right? And she came in and said, hey, Rolita, let's create something that is really beneficial to the organization. And so she introduced me to learning and development. Inside of learning and development, I learned a ton of stuff. And so I'm a natural learner. I want to know what I'm doing before I actually do it, so that I can actually put my 2 cents in and it be factual information. So during that, I actually went and got my second master's degree, which is the Master's of Education, specific with a concentration in adult learning and education. And I was able to apply that knowledge to what I did every single day. to the point where year over year, I created a position for myself in that organization that allowed them to see that I was of benefit and of value to that organization. So I worked that job for 8 years. So I went from training program or training coordinator to training program coordinator to training manager to corporate learning and development manager to ultimately running the entire division for the learning and development team. That company went through an acquisition, and part of the company that was buying us out said, hey, we know that your training program is nationally recognized because we had got a couple of awards and things of that nature at that time. And we want to bring this into our organization because we believe it's going to be beneficial to our employees. So during that acquisition, I actually became the director of learning development for the specific division that we were in. And then a year later, became the director of the division for the North American region, Brazil, and Australia. So I was pretty much the liaison between each division going up into the global learning and development team. And so I thoroughly enjoyed working there, worked there for 8 years. It was great. But in the midst of that, I actually created Twin Pearls Production Company, LLC. And it was primarily because I wanted to pay down my college loans. I wanted to find some additional income that would allow me to pay that down. So I started the business and I said, well, this is a great opportunity because I have the background. And so did that. And in 2020, in August of 2020, I was going into a meeting with my boss and she says, Rolita, we've got a member of HR on the line. And I said, huh, what you said? I'm not sure I understand what's going on here, ma'am. And she said, yeah, we have to do some layoffs of middle management, and this unfortunately impacts you. Now, I was going into this meeting to talk about budgeting for the next year and what we needed to do from a learning and development standpoint. So I was completely taken off guard. But I believe that that was a true message from God, that it was time for me to step out on my own and do what he has ultimately set me out to do, which has always been in my heart, which is to be an entrepreneur. And because I had already started that business while I was working, I had some funds available to get me started and to do what was necessary in order for me to sustain and to really be able to put my best foot forward. So with regards to that, I started Twin Pearls Production Company in 2020. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, what, I don't have clients. I don't have any income coming in. What's happening here? And so I started to produce and put things out on social media and things online. And my business actually really grew through word of mouth. A lot of people knew my background and the credentials that I had and said, we're going to trust you to start our business. And so that's what happened. I started by word of mouth. A lot of clients came to me by word of mouth, and they referred other people, and other people referred other people. And so that's how my business actually took off in 2020. It was late 2020, but I made money in 2020. And it was a blessing, to say the least. And so now here we are 2 years later, still functioning, still thriving, still doing what I love to do. I enjoy helping other people create and bring their visions to fruition, especially when you have a desire to want to start your own business and want to be your own boss. I want to help you do that. And so with regards to that, the business now we've helped over 50 people in the state of Maryland to create their businesses and have that great foundation of registering their business with the state, making sure they have all of their federal documentation, and ensuring that the business has a good foundation to stand on and grow. But the unique thing about my organization is that we not only help you set up your business, we actually teach you along the way, because I have a background in learning and development. I like helping people understand the why and things. As entrepreneurs, we often take what somebody else does or has done, which was a success for them, and try to apply it to our business. But sometimes that just doesn't work. We have to do what's best for us in our business, in our industry, and what our unique business objectives are. And that's part of the unique aspect of Twin Pearls Consulting Agency. So my overall arch is Twin Pearls Production Company, where I have Twin Pearls Consulting, agency inside of that. And then I have Rolita Clark Enterprises, where I do speaking engagements and help people with personal credit and things of that nature. But specifically, Twin Pearls Consulting Agency is where we teach you how to run the operational components of your business. And so that is how I got to where I am today. And I think I've made this man behind me proud, as well as my mom, and really just continuing to thrive and be an entrepreneur. So that's my story of how I went from 9 to 5 to side hustle to entrepreneur. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Rolita. Now we're going to turn it over to Stacey Watson.
Thank you, Sister Ebony. Hi, I'm Stacey Watson, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Ms. Vanessa Terry. She's the founder of Notary to Notary and the newly opened Notary Business Center, which is an online training program that teaches anyone in the United States on how to build a successful notary signing business. She was also awarded the 2021 Forbes Next 1000 Entrepreneurship. Her passion is to help people reach their greatest potential through entrepreneurship and personal development. Ms. Vanessa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. So first of all, I'm super honored to be here. I'm glad that, all people are joining in just to learn more about entrepreneurship, because we need more talk about this. I was not born into an entrepreneurship family. Didn't have, okay, I'm sorry, I'm focused. I'm seeing some of my babies in here. And for me to talk about how I went from 9 to 5, which actually was not a 9 to 5, it was 24 hours a day because I had 2 and 3 jobs at a time, to side hustle, to entrepreneur. It's definitely been a journey. And, I love whenever I can to share my story, because I believe everybody can do this. And I just feel like a lot of people they're just not given the resources, the training, the materials. We're not talking enough to each other about financial literacy, business development, mindset, self-development. And I really feel like organizations like this are needed, because we need to start talking to each other. We need to start helping each other, because when we do that, then all of us are going from 9 to 5 side hustle to entrepreneurship. And so basically how my story began, I worked lots of jobs, worked in my entire life, just lots of different jobs that I've had. And I had my daughter in 2011. And around that time, I decided that I wanted to do something that would give me time flexibility. I needed something that would allow me to be that quote unquote soccer mom, because I wanted to be there with her. I always had this super perfect image of what a mom would be, how it'd be as a mom. For the record, it completely changed now, but I had this idea, and it didn't involve me working all day. And so I went online and I found things like the Mary Kays and the Avons and all the MLMs. I think I've done them all. Okay. And then I found Notary. And honestly, when I found it, I thought it was going to be like something I just put in my pocket. Like, okay, I'll just do this on the side, and I got into it. I started getting clients here and there, and it was cool. It worked. I still had my job. And then over probably about 6 to 8 months doing it, it really started to pick up. I started to do what people refer to as loan closings. So getting into that real estate space, and my income drastically increased. From 2014 to 2016, I did that part-time, so I had a full-time job. And then in 2016, I quit my full-time job and I started working as a notary signing agent, which I don't like to say notary signing agents, it's more to notary than just that, and people get caught on that. But I started working as a notary signing agent in 2016, and I was averaging about $10,000 a month, which was completely different from what I was used to, right? And so I did that for several years. And then in 2019, I started training. So I helped lots of friends and family get into the business. And then in 2019, one of my friends said, hey, Vanessa, you should do a course. And I didn't know anything about courses, but if you know me at all, you know that I will do anything at least once. I'm very high energy, try anything, get into any space, because it's just who I am. And so I built Notary to Notary, which is our online training program. And initially it was just training notaries in Virginia. And honestly, guys, it exploded. It exploded really fast. And I started training all over the country within a matter of months. And so 2019, I started training. 2020, it really picked up. In 2021 was when Forbes did the piece on me for being the entrepreneur that's changing the way people worked. And it was like mind blowing when I got that. I was like, oh, what is happening? How am I in Forbes? Like 4 years ago, I was like, Qdoba, what is happening right now? Right. So it was definitely an honor, so I'm going to tell you all things that I've done, that I'm going to tell you how I got here. Okay. So 2021, I got in Forbes. 2021, I also started my notary signing service, On-Time Notary. So we send notaries out across the country to conduct notary work. Currently working on an e-notary platform for my digital notaries. And also just recently opened up the Notary Business Center, which is a actual brick and mortar location where we do lots of things and not just notarizations. But that was the next thing. And this is a location that we are looking to franchise and just build all across the country. All that being said, not too much, I do a couple other things. I have a nonprofit, and I just, I dilly-dally and a couple other things. But I got to this point, and everyone always asks me, when in 2016, when I was making all that money, I don't feel like I became an entrepreneur in that time. Like my mindset wasn't there. And people always ask me, because I grew drastically from 2019 until now. And people always ask me, well, Vanessa, what happened? In 2015, 16, okay, I was making all that money, honey, but I was still broke. Okay, very much broke, because you can make a lot of money and still be poor. Okay, there's a quote that says, if all the money was taken and given to everybody equally within a matter of, months or so, it'll go back to the same hands, because I didn't understand money. I wasn't financially literate. I didn't understand business. I didn't understand taxes. I didn't know any of that stuff. I just knew how to bring money in and then spend it. Okay, I was a consumer and not a producer. And so I was getting frustrated, because I was like, why am I making so much money and I'm still struggling? What am I missing? And one day I decided, I stopped and I said, okay, what is Oprah doing? What is Bill Gates doing? What is all these people doing that I'm not doing? It's my formula is wrong. Okay. Whatever this equation that I'm using for life is wrong. And I convinced myself that what I knew was completely wrong, because this is what I knew was giving me this, and I don't want this. And so I went on it, and you can call it insane, but I know a lot of people who've done it as well. But I went on a very strict mindset change to where I didn't watch TV. I didn't listen to music. All I did was binge listen to self-development content, educational content, mindset, motivation content. And I mean all day, in my car, in my house, in my AirPods. That was it. That was all that played. Was the Jim Rohns, was the Eric Thomas, was the Tony Robbins, was the Gary Vee, was the Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, all of them. That so much so that you put on one of their videos, I guarantee you I can finish all their sentences, because I did that because I needed to brainwash myself about, because what I was doing was wrong. And I knew that, because I didn't want those results. So I said, okay, Vanessa, everything you know is wrong. Okay. And if you can get to the point, if you are not where you want to be in life, if you can get to that point where you can say, okay, everything I know is wrong. Okay. And sometimes, it doesn't feel good, because it's like, no, oh my gosh, you might be older. You're like, I've been through life. I know this. Okay. No. Okay. Everything you know is wrong. Okay. And then you find people who have the results that you want, and you do what they tell you to do. Okay. And once you start doing that, you're going to start seeing results, because you're changing the equation. Okay. In life, I always say it's an equation. If you are getting a certain result, it's because you're using a certain system. And so when people ask me, well, Vanessa, how'd you get from here to here in the matter of 2-3 years? I changed the system. I changed the equation. I changed different things that I was doing. And I always say, I can teach people, because I teach notaries, right? I can teach you a skill set. But if I don't change your mindset, you're never going to get to the next level. You can have a skill, but if you can't change your mindset regarding life and, business development and who you're hanging around and mindset, if you don't change that, that skill is never going to take you to where you want it to go, because you haven't changed the mindset too. So I went on this cleanse, this mental journey, and about 2 years straight, that means 365 times 2 straight. That's all I did. You know, and I tell people who always want to know, you know, how do I get on this journey? Start with your mind first. And I know it might sound cheesy and it's like, oh, she's being like, no, give me that's it. That is it. That is the answer. Start with your mind because you can't fix it. Confucius said it best. He said, the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both usually right. What I'm doing now, I never thought I could do 5 years ago. Never in a million years. It was not, and it's different from knowing things are possible to knowing they're possible for you. Okay. I didn't think I could do these things. Now, if you see my vision board, honey, listen, okay. What I feel like I can do now is so much bigger because I keep working on myself. And then as I work on myself, I continue to build and I test things. And then what I feel is possible continues to grow, so much so that I can do anything at this point. And I know that, you know, if I decide tomorrow I want to start a bank, I can do it. I just have to, you know, learn how to apply the principles and then go do it. And so I would wholeheartedly say my journey from working longer than 9 to 5, working, what do you call it, all day, to my side hustle, and then to my entrepreneurship, completely mindset, totally 100%. I had to do this first. Then I can go out and make changes and I can go fix things. Yes. I was like, keep talking. I can talk all day.
Thank you for those encouraging words. I mean, I just want to say, I am so proud of both you ladies. You guys are doing wonderful things. We're going to ask a couple questions and we're going to allow the audience as well to join in. Someone's got a hot mic. Okay, thank you. So the first question I wanted to just ask you guys were you afraid to, when you decided to open your own business or decided to start your side hustle, or did you just want it to be your own boss, or were you just thinking about the money?
Well, I can say for me, I was pushed into it, right? I had the side hustle already that I had established, and I was actually doing work here and there. And it was great because I was getting little extra coins on the side. But I always had the confidence in knowing that I was not made to work for another person. I was made to be my own boss. That has been what is instilled in me, what I grew up around, and what I ultimately knew I wanted to do. So from that standpoint, I had the confidence. Of course, there's always that fear in the back of your mind that's just like, well, what if I'm not successful, or what if I don't do it? But I was determined to make my company and what I did a success that I continued to just push forward. And it really goes back to what Vanessa just said, and it was 100% spot on, sister, okay? That mindset is where you have to start, because if you don't think you can do it, or you don't think it's going to be a success, or you think that, you know, you walk into it timidly, then you're always going to have that 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door. So you have to change the mindset. So my mindset was always set to be an entrepreneur. But it wasn't about the money for me. I genuinely believe that my purpose here on earth is to help other people be successful and to help them reach their dreams and goals. So I wanted to continue that on and continue the legacy that had been put in front of me.
Okay, so I would say for me, I wasn't scared to do it. I think I've always been kind of rebellious. I haven't held a job that long because I don't know, I get bored. I need new things to do. And one of my business coaches told me that that's because you're an entrepreneur, you're a visionary. You always have new ideas. In the stagnation, like doing the same thing every day, that you can't do that. I can't sit still. I always want to do new ideas. And so working jobs always upset me, and I could never do it long term. I just would feel like I was smothering. And then to start a business, I wasn't afraid to do it because it's just not my personality type. I'm not really afraid of much of anything except for like spiders and sharks. Outside of that, I'll do pretty much anything. So if you want to go try something, let me know. I'm your girl. I'm always down for the fun stuff and like experimenting. So it was just something that I was ready to do.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Ms. Ebony, did you want to ask a question?
Uh-oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
To both ladies, what are your tips for successfully turning a side hustle into a thriving small business?
Tips. You want to go first, Vanessa?
We can rotate, that's fine.
Let's do it. You go
Okay.
first.
So I would say one of the biggest things that I have seen, this is 100 Black women, so I can say that, in our community, is we don't know business. And we need to change that. And I think a lot of people, they treat their side hustle like a side hustle forever, and they don't learn the fundamentals of business. I did that. I didn't know about taxes and grants and, setting up a business the right way. I didn't know about S corps. I didn't know about payroll and I didn't know about any of that stuff, and if we need to learn it. And I don't want to hear, oh, my mom didn't do it, my dad didn't do it my first time. Guess what? You have Google. Okay. You have SCORE, which is free. Check that out. You have the SBA, you have your library. There are so many free resources out here. If you are getting into business, the idea that I don't know how doesn't work. You didn't know how to drive a car either, but you learned that. You need to learn how to build a business quickly. My opinion.
I can second that. It is, like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always reading. I've got books everywhere. Like if I have a client that's in an industry that I've never been in or never done any work in, I go and research that industry. What is the industry about? What are the actual revenue, the annual revenues that are coming into that business? What's the NICS codes? What are the things that they need to know that's important to them to sustain their business? So a tip that I would give, and I hate to sound like I'm duplicating your answer, but I think we have the same brain, Vanessa. But it is learn what it takes to operate a business. The operational components of your business is what helps it to grow. If you do not understand, if right now you're doing something that's a hobby or what you may call a side hustle, understand how to use different accounting software systems. Understand how to formulate policies, procedures, and processes. Document those things. Make sure that you have an order to your organization. Ensure that you are actually paying your taxes. I had a client that came to me and said, I have not paid my taxes in 3 years. Well, what do you want me to do? Because I am not a tax person, okay? I am a bookkeeper and an accountant to a degree where I can help you organize all of those things, but I'm not a tax person. I know tax law. I can tell you what it is that you need to do, but if you don't learn that for yourself and understand how to keep yourself organized and how to ensure that you set your business up for success, there's nothing anybody else can do. I actually have to piggyback on to SCORE. I'm a SCORE mentor for Virginia. Yeah. So SCORE is a great resource. They have a ton of free classes. Literally, there's a class out there called Entrepreneurship 101, Accounting 101. It takes you through the basics of what you need to know as you're starting to grow and organize your business. So SCORE is a great resource. Go ahead and set up a profile, ask to be inside of the mentorship program. It is free. You also get the opportunity to speak to different business coaches through SCORE as well.
Thank you, ladies. SCORE, I really enjoy the SCORE webinars that they have. So yes, I agree. What would be the first things that you would tell our audience to do when they're setting up their side hustle? Do they need to have a website? Do they need to, you mentioned the NAICS code, understanding their NAICS code, getting their NIS number, whatever, EIN number. What is it that they need?
To start a business, know your industry. Know what % of the industry you are trying to capture, and then understand who your target audience is. And the reason why I say that is where you start is because if you're out here saying, I'm gonna sell to everybody, I'm just gonna give everybody everything, great, I want you to. I'm not gonna discourage you from doing that. However, it is extremely important to know who your client is so that you are marketing to that person. Who is your ideal client? Not just a client, the ideal client, the one who you can put your package or your product in front of, and within 5 minutes, they hear your pitch and they're like, okay, yeah, I want to sign up, or I want to buy this product from you. You have to know who your client is in order for you to captivate the audience that you need that's going to bring in the revenue. So I would say start with industry first. And then everybody says like, you go out here and Google tells you one of the first 10 steps is you need to start a website. Don't do it to yourself. The reason why I say that is because you're going to need to increase your revenue. You're going to need to have some type of income coming in, right? Websites cost money. Okay, you can do them yourself. Google has some free sources as well as Wix and a couple of things like that. So you can do it yourself. Not saying don't, but what I am saying is that use your resources and income wisely, because there are going to be certain things that you need to set up along the way where a website might not be the very first thing that you have to do. You have social media, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok. You've got all of those different avenues where you can definitely captivate your audience and start to bring in that revenue from your hobby or your side hustle. So I generally will tell you to get the foundation of your business set up first, which is your federal identification number, which is free. Do not let anybody tell you that that is not free. It is the irs.gov website. Type in federal identification number. It will take you to the application. You complete it yourself. They give it to you right there on the spot on the website. A client of mine paid $100 for somebody to do the EIN number. No, guys, don't do that to yourself. It's free. It is free. I promise you. Okay. Start with the EIN and then understand what your state regulations are, because often people believe I've got an EIN number. I have a business. That's not true. You have an EIN number. That is the social security number to your business. Same way you have a social security number for your personal, your business has one as well. And that's your federal identification number. So then understand what the state registration is. So now you have to register your business with the state so that it's an actual recognized company. So I would say industry, target audience, federal identification number, state registration.
I feel like that question was really loaded, and I feel like that's really hard. So my answer is going to be an answer, but it's not the full answer because I need at least an hour to unpack that question. But since you said a whole lot of stuff, it cut some of my stuff down. But what I was thinking initially was you need to LLC. If you're not going to LLC, do some kind of version of it's forming your business. A lot of people, they get into business, they sole prop. And I used to say, oh yeah, cool, sole prop, which is basically you are your business. Now I don't say that because you are liable and you can lose everything if someone sues you. Not only that, you're at a disadvantage, okay? Because taxes, okay? First thing, hello, okay? You're going to get tax heavier. You can't get business credit. Not really. You can't get true business credit, not established large lines underneath yourself. Okay. And then on top of that, the government doesn't, sometimes they will recognize sole props. They did. Remember when COVID had happened, they added on sole props. We'll go ahead and help you guys out too. But normally the government's not going to help you in any kind of arena if you're a sole prop typically, because really you're an individual, and our government loves businesses because businesses stir up the economy. So that is, they don't care about people. I'm sure they do, but they love businesses. So you need to be an actual entity, which goes back into learning the foundations of business. You need to do that. Learn the basics, learn what an EIN is. And people say, oh, I went and got my DUNS number. That's my EIN, right? No, it's a DUNS number. Okay. I'm gonna need y'all to, and it's okay to not know. And also don't get your information from TikTok. I mean, you can, and that's okay. You can start there, but I need you to fact check. Everyone's around here talking about, oh, DBA. Please don't DBA everything. There's a purpose for a DBA, and it's not to have a hair store and a cookie shop and then DBA that. No. Okay. So don't go to TikTok and Facebook, and you can get some of that stuff, but then fact check it. Okay. Some people are out here getting messed up. They want to run and just S corp right out the gate. They don't know hardly anything about taxes. Fun fact, 97% of small businesses overpay in taxes, and you'll probably be one of them if you don't learn taxes. So, that was a lot. What I would say to summarize, learn the basics of business first. Do that. And then the marketing thing she was talking about too, because everybody is not your client. And I had to learn it the hard way. Okay. A lot of wasted dollars.
So you talk about business credits. How do you go about getting the funding, and how important is having, good business credit is to getting funding for your actual company?
Oh, I got this question. Okay.
I was curious. Hold on. Like, as excited as you just were, like, that's how my insides are about business credit. Like, I love business credit. It is one of the programs that I offer that I get so excited about, because it's like, oh my gosh, people didn't know about this. Like, they had no idea about it. But go ahead, Vanessa.
It is insane because, and it's not that people don't know, it's that certain people don't know.
Right.
So the way you're supposed to do business, the way that this country is designed to do business is you're supposed to have an idea. And then you get that idea funded, not with your own personal funds. You get that idea funded. You take that funding from Bank of America or Chase, wherever you got it from, and you work that idea. You take some of that revenue, you pay them back, and then you keep the profits. But you're not supposed to take your own money and keep pouring it into a business. No, you don't do that. And then the fun thing is we have limited liability companies, which basically is, if you do it the right way, you have your LLC, you got this funding, you're going to try this idea out. Let's say it doesn't work out. You are not liable for this debt, depending on how you set it up. You can then walk away clearly, which people do all the time, and do another idea. And then, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. So people always think you have to go to like Chase and Bank of America. Yes, they are lenders, but there are so many funders and lines of credit and store credit accounts that you can open up to fund for marketing, for supplies, for they have, like, you can finance, literally, you can finance anything. Before I tell you what you can finance, well, hold on. You can finance anything. Whatever you need finance, just put it into Google. Let's say you're going to do a content company, you want a pressure washer. Put pressure washer financing small business. You're going to find companies that you did not know existed who would finance you because you're a small business. They're designed for small businesses. You need to have your LLC. Hello, because you're an actual business. Okay. And they will give you money on credit that you pay back when you start generating revenue. Now, some of them will have like net 30, or they'll do longer terms. Make sure you read your terms, but you can absolutely do. And that's the way you're supposed to do business. Now, I'm going to let my girl here tell you what you need to have to get set up, because you need to be set up correctly and run your business like a company and not running out your personal checking account. And don't get me started. You go ahead.
Man, Vanessa, we need to be in the room together, ma'am, because this is exciting. But she's absolutely 110% correct. When I was talking about state registration, that is where you formalize your LLC, your corporation, whatever it is you're doing. If you're first starting out, don't immediately go to a corporation, because that's not where you need to go. You need to go to the LLC, which stands for limited liability company. The purpose of a limited liability company is to separate your personal assets from your business assets. Just like Vanessa said, you can literally create an idea, it does not work, and you walk away from it. Personally, you're not responsible for it. The business is responsible for it, okay? Pertaining to business credit, you heard us say DUNS number earlier. You need a DUNS number. That is from Duns and Bradstreet. It is free, guys. Okay. You go to Duns and Bradstreet. You I think it's it says DUNS number, DUNS number. You put your information in. You'll get a notification via email within 30 days. Generally, it happens very quick, more quick than that, like maybe like 10 days or so. And now you have a DUNS number. That DUNS number puts you inside of a system called PAYDEX. PAYDEX is the equivalent of a FICO score. So you know how personally you have a FICO score that goes up to 850, that's your personal credit, right? Well, business credit has the same, well, not the same scoring, but a same system or similar system, let me say that, that goes up to 100. Okay. The goal with business credit is for you to get the credit lines necessary to have a PAYDEX score between a 70 and 80. What that is telling the creditors or the lenders is that you are a low risk business as far as being able to pay your debts back and things of that nature. So at 70 to 80, that score, you can pretty much get anything. Okay. But it's extremely important that well, let me back up, get excited. There is a tiered system. So there's 5 tiers inside of business credit. The very first tier that you will start out with, and if you have an EIN number and you have a DUNS number, you can actually go do this as soon as we get off this call, okay? You are going to start what are called net 30 accounts. Net 30 accounts. Essentially, these are the terms in which you're going to pay back the money. So you're going to get a line of credit, or you're going to get an invoice, from a vendor that you've purchased from, and you have 30 days to pay that back. The key with net 30 terms is that you pay it 10 to 15 days before the actual due date, because at that point, it gives you the ability to increase your score quickly. Okay. Some net 30 organizations, write these down, folks. If you don't got a pen and paper, go grab some right now because I'm dropping gems. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the net 30 accounts that you can go with are Quill, Quill. That is an office supply. Actually, I don't even want to say office supply. That's all things supplies.
They do
Okay.
a lot.
You can get toilet paper, paper towels, ink, hole punchers, pins, books, posters, whiteboards. I actually have a whiteboard that I just got from Quill sitting right next to me right now. You can set up that account. It's completely free, but you do have to spend $100 with Quill the very first go around when you start the account. Okay, but it's not hard to spend $100 on Quill. Okay, let me just say that right now. It's pretty easy. The other account that I'll tell you about is called the CEO Creative. That is a net 30 account that reports to the 3 business credit bureaus. So the ones that I'm giving you right now, they are going to report to the business credit bureaus, okay? Which is how you're going to be able to generate and get your score. The CEO Creative, now I'm gonna be honest with you, some of these net 30 accounts, they're not like, oh, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna purchase everything and I'm gonna be all right, I'm gonna find something I'm looking for. You're not. I'm gonna be honest with you. CEO Creative is one of them. But I can tell you that they get your score up there very quickly. Okay, I'm only telling you the ones that are going to be beneficial to you. Another one is it just left my brain. Crown Office Supplies. Another one that you're gonna find is gonna be like, oh gosh, I gotta spend $50. I don't know how I'm gonna spend this $50, but spend the $50. I bought a T-shirt and like 2 T-shirts and a poster from them. $50 done. And then so the objective with net 30 terms is that you want to have at least 5 reporting trade lines on your business credit report, which is going to come from Duns and Bradstreet and or Paydex. And the key here, a lot of people don't tell you this, they just tell you go get a Duns number. NAV, N-A-V, okay? NAV is where you will actually be able to pull your business credit score. They have a free account, and then they also have what's called NAV Boost. NAV Boost is $34.95 a month, but it actually monitors your score, and you can go in at any time and actually pull your report so that you can see how many trade lines are reporting. So once you get past the net 30, which is tier 1, and you have 5 reporting trade lines, and actually it's really 3 to 5 to be honest with you, come holler at me at Twin Pearls Consulting, because then we can help you get to tier 2 through 5, okay? And we'll educate you along the way as to why you need to do these things. But business credit is there for you to fund the business. It's not there, the business is not set up for you to go out here. Excuse me, my dog is trying to eat my leg. Is not set up for you to go out here and spend your personal money, okay? Business credit is necessary. Just like Vanessa said, if there's something that you want to, you're a photographer, you have a photography business, you need a camera, go out there, Google finance, photography, and you're going to find something that will allow you to finance. Even if you are in construction, Floor and Decor is another account that will give you a line of credit where you're not putting all of your money out from a construction standpoint, but you're actually getting a line of credit for you to actually go back and pay that off. I could sit here and talk about business credit all day long and run through the whole program.
But
that
no, I want to tell you something. So when you said that, I did that. I got my camera. When I started my business, notary note, I needed a camera for and I did that. I set my business credit and I got my on credit from Office Depot. And the camera was like $1,500. But I said I need a camera for my YouTube channel. So I did it on business credit. And at that time, I think they're still doing it. They didn't have we're doing I can make payments on it. It was a net 30. So it was even better for me. Yeah.
Now Home Depot and Lowe's will give you lines of credit. So they'll give you credit lines that once you get approved and all that other stuff, they'll give you a whole bunch of stuff. And the only reason I know is because I just helped an all-female construction company get their business up and running, which I thought was absolutely amazing. But these ladies were like, I got $50K in the bank and I'm ready to put it all in to get my supplies and equipment. Don't do it. Leave it there. Like you said, leave it in the bank so that you can come back to it, but use this business credit because that's what it's set up for. And ultimately, as you grow and you start to get these different lines of credit, different doors will start to open for you. You'll be able to get major credit cards. American Express is another good one. They don't really report to all the credit bureaus, so I tell people to kind of stay away from them. However, I tell you to go for it too, because you can do one application or one pull and get 5 cards. I have literally helped people obtain over $100,000 in business credit. So when you're ready, come holler at me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ms. Ebony, did you have a question that you wanted to ask the ladies?
Yeah, my last question I wanted to know from you ladies is this. Because you guys have said so much awesome stuff. I have so many things in my mind right now, but how did you set your goals to be a realistic goal for your, as you said, side hustle turn into your business, and then also the feeling that it gives you, the positive and the negatives? Because in life there may be some, of course, negative things, and I'm not saying negative in a sense of the no's you get. Like Tyler Perry always said, he had so many no's, all he looked for was that one yes. So if you could speak on that, two situations, that'd be great.
Awesome. So I believe that being goal-oriented is extremely important as an entrepreneur, because it puts your focus on something that you have to achieve, right? For me, I started out with my financial goals. We all want to make money in some way, shape, or form, right? So I start out with my financial goals. I say, in this month, I want to make X amount of dollars, right? But then going from there, and sometimes this helps people because those who are, I'm a numbers girl. I believe that numbers tell a story. I can look at your numbers from your business and tell you how your business where it started at and where it's going to. So I'm a numbers girl. So I always start with the numbers first. So I set my financial goals and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do this month, X amount of dollars. Okay, well, in order to do that, how many clients do I have to have? How many training programs do I have to sell? How many ebooks do I have to sell? And I break it down based off of all of the services and products that I have inside of my organization to tell me what I need to accomplish to hit that one financial goal, right? So I always start there, but then I also go into my operational goals. Right now, I am a one-woman shop, and I'm fixing that very quickly. Looking for people to hire. But I also go into my operational goals. How many people do I need in order for me to scale the business to where I want it to be? Looking at what systems I need to have in place that will help me to automate certain processes where I don't necessarily need a person, or I don't actually need to regulate or be hands-on in that particular thing. So I start to look at operational goals. The other thing that I look at as far as goals are, so you've got operational finance, and then I look at marketing. I'm not gonna lie, I have a minor in marketing, but I do not like it. I do not like it at all, okay? I do not like social media. I do not like any of it, but I know I have to do it because how else is anybody gonna know about my business? Word of mouth can only take you so far before you actually hit a barrier, or before you hit a point where you're like, okay, what else do I do? Like how many people can I tell about this business? So marketing is the top three, those finance, operation, and marketing. Those are the top 3 goals that I always look at every month. Although I do look at everything else as far as accounting and taxes and all of that type of stuff as far as what I need to accomplish to hit certain things. But those are the top 3 tactics, or the top 3 topics, excuse me, that I take a look at, because marketing is not my thing. And the one thing, I wish I had my notebook over here because I would show it to you right now. It says, find social media person is what it says. And it's highlighted because I don't want to do it at all. But just know that if you do not hit those goals, it's okay. You've got another month to try again and to start over, okay? Although you want to strive to hit those goals on a regular basis, it's okay if you don't make it, okay? It's okay if you don't hit the financial goal that you were looking for, because that just means that you have to reevaluate your tactics and what it is, your strategies of what you're doing in order to accomplish those goals. But don't get discouraged. if you don't hit those monthly goals or the goals that you set for yourself. It's gonna be okay. Just keep going. Reset the goals, reset your mind, and then put a plan of action behind how you're actually going to accomplish those goals.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. I think we're going to open the floor up for questions. We had a hand that was raised a couple minutes ago from Madam Sheila Bryan. Do you want to ask your question to the wonderful speakers?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Ebony and Stacy, for coordinating this awesome, wonderful program that I'm learning additional information. And look, was a business major in college so many years ago. My question is to both panelists. You know, during the COVID time, we had the pandemic and the money, I think the Rescue Acts or other legislation or laws that were passed. Did you participate in any of those programs? Did you advise any one of the programs? Why or why not? Because that was the most extreme wealth transfer that I have seen in my generation. That's it.
So yes, and that goes into, so it's funny, I'm gonna try to say this right. Our government loves companies, and I plan to take every dollar that they give me, period. It's like, so like I did the EIDL, I did the PPL, that was regarding to COVID. I did those. And I also went for COVID grants. There were a ton of COVID grants that were out there. And I do grants in general because listen, business credit is all good and dandy, but grants is free money I don't have to pay back. So I consistently apply for grants every single month. I did 2 this morning, listen, because I like free money. Okay, if you're going to give me free money, I'm going to take it. So there's a lot. One thing I would say, when it comes to government programs, everyone knew COVID because it was like, oh, COVID funding. The government has programs all the time. You just need to be connected with them. You need to be talking to your economic development office. You have funding on your city and your local level, your state level, and then the federal level. You need to get on their mailing list, go on their websites consistently, get connected with some of those representatives and see what's going on. Talk to them. Did you know you can talk to them? You can walk up there, you can send an email, you can say, hey, I'm working on this project. Do you guys have any funding for this? Are there any opportunities about this? Listen to me. I know that most people, when they think of the government on an individual capacity, the government doesn't like us. They don't help us. The government loves businesses and they will look out for you as a business owner. You just need to talk to them, period.
Absolutely. I participated in the EIDL or the EIDL program. I did the PPP loan.
PPP.
That was a good one. There probably the end of last year, there was a program called ERC, which was Employee Retention Program.
I did that.
Yeah. Did you get the money, girl? Because it was a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you had at least one employee, you were able to obtain at least $26,000 for that one employee. So if you had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, you got your money for that. You just had to prove that they were W-2 employees. But ERC was another one. I didn't actually apply for that because, like I said, I was a one-woman shop. I have 1099s. I don't actually have W-2 employees. But I did help a couple of people actually complete the application and go through it. But again, like, I hate to say I'm piggybacking off Vanessa, but I think we got the same brain, girl. But the grants are a thing. You, like she said, you have your state and local levels, you have the federal level, and then there are grants in between for women and minority-owned businesses. Please make sure that you are connected to them. There's one, oh goodness, what is it? It is women's, I'll actually send the link to Ebony. I can't remember the name off the top of my brain, but it's a women grant organization where they give out money every month pertaining to a certain industry. And it's like $10,000, but $10,000 of grant money is $10,000 worth of grant money. I'll take the 25, I'll take $1,000 of your grant money. I have no problem with that, okay? Because it means I do not have to pay it back. But it's extremely important that you know that what's out there. I will also tell you, and this is when you start to get into more governmental or federal grants, SAM.gov is where you need to register, get you a UEI number. and then complete that application. If you need some help, I can definitely do that for you. And also stay connected with the SBA. The SBA will give you insight into what grants are available. Now I use them just for a factual and resource purpose, to be completely honest with you, and see what else is out there according to different categories, like women-owned, minority-owned. Sorry, you guys see my dog. Women-owned, minority-owned, so on and so forth, to see what's out there. But the programs, like COVID was different for businesses because it opened a lot of doors as far as funding was concerned. But yes, those were the ones that I participated in. Get connected with your grants. If you need help, let us know.
Thank you, ladies. I think we have another question in the audience. Mrs. Johnson, would you want to ask your question?
Yes, my question is, how do I identify my competition in the industry that I'm interested in getting the business in? What's the best route to take to know the industry, to recognize my competition, the people the other businesses that has the same business that I'm interested in going in? How do I, go about looking into the competition? I guess that's the right word to say.
Well, I'm going to say it all starts with regards to research, right? So whatever your particular business is, there's a larger industry in which it sits underneath of. So for instance, you have, let's take, for example, if you're a jewelry company, right? Inside of your jewelry company sits inside of the industry of retail sales, but there's a specific code that maps to your business, which is called a NAICS code, NAICS code, okay? Once you find that out, you're able to use that code in order for you to find out different elements of the business. That will then lead you into your competitors. But again, it goes back to your target audience. Some of these businesses that are listed inside of the research, or that you may find that are Googled, they're making millions upon millions of dollars. There's some big companies, right? If you're a start out business, you need to find the companies that are within your revenue stream that will allow you to actually say, okay, this is my true competitor. You can't say, if you're a jewelry company and you're just starting out, that K Jewelers is your competitor. They ultimately are to a degree, but if you're just now starting out, find those different local businesses that map to yours. It's really a research game, to be completely honest with you. But I will tell you to start with understanding the industry, understanding your NAICS code, and then go from there.
So I would say Google, same thing, research. So I would go on Google and find your competitors that way, like to see who else is in your space. But I would kind of counter your question with a question with, like, why do you want to know your competitors are? Yes, you want to have a vague knowledge of them, of who they are, what they do. But I think a lot of times as business owners, we get distracted. We go into a game with each other. We're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. In my business, I don't focus on my competitor at all. I hardly ever look at them. And the reason why I don't is I don't want them to taint my vision. What I do look at is my clients, their market, our market. I focus on, what does my client want? Now, one technique you can do, let's say you have a competitor who they have clients. I look at their reviews and I say, what are they complaining about? They're complaining about this. All right, good. I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to stalk my competitor's page and say, oh, they have this program. No, because now my vision is tainted. And now I might get discouraged looking at them. And then now we're in a copycat game. Now I'm going to do this, you're going to do this. And I feel like a lot of times and then you can get discouraged looking at your competitors. You might say, oh, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. Oh my gosh, I got this, I got that. And now your positivity can get, a little less positive. And so I just me personally, like my team might look like I have a competitor in my space that's bigger than me. And I've always made a rule of them. I don't want to know nothing that they're doing. If I happen to see it, cool. I don't want to look at anything because I don't want it to taint my vision. I want my vision to stay focused, but I am very aware of our clientele and what they're complaining about the competitor. That I'm very aware of, because then I can take that and use it in my marketing and add those things, but I'm not stalking them because I don't want it to counter what I'm doing as the visionary, because you don't want a copycat. You're a business owner. You need to bring something new to the market. You need to be, clear. You had a vision, right? keep it focused, put those blinders on and bring your vision to the market.
Yeah, I would actually have to say, in conjunction with what Vanessa just mentioned, as far as your tainted vision, I'll tell you like story that's 2.5 seconds. In 2021, I was like, I'm going to revamp the business. I'm going to restructure the business. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And this is what I want to do, right? So I did start to look at what some of my competitors were doing. Now, granted, my unique value proposition is that I teach you the why behind why you do what you do inside of your organization, or why you create what you need to create for your business. But then I started looking at some of my competitors and I was like, oh, they've got that service. Oh, they've got that service. And oh, I know I can do that because I got the background to do it, right? And then you start to try to put these aspects into your business and it doesn't feel right. It does not feel like you. It does not feel like that is what your vision is supposed to be. So I literally had to retract all of those things that I was looking at to see how I could be the most competitive in the market, and go back exactly to what Vanessa said, which was put the blinders on and focus on what makes me and Twin Pearls Production Company. There is not another like me out there. So therefore, I'm going to stick to what I know, to what feels good to me, and what I know my ultimate vision was for the business.
Exactly.
I think we have a follow-up question from her,
Okay.
Mrs. Johnson. Or did we answer all your questions?
The thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Thumbs up.
Oh, okay, perfect.
You all answer all my questions.
Thank you.
I did want to bounce back to the goal question if I could. When you were saying like, how do you set your goals when you set realistic goals? And as soon as you said that, I couldn't wait to like, oh, I gotta tell you. So I don't set realistic goals. I actually hate the word realistic. That doesn't exist to me, because the goals you set they're based off the lens that you're seeing life through. And the lens you're seeing life through is based off your paradigms, what you've been able to see so far, right? And so your goals are going to be limited. And so I actively set goals that I have no idea how this is going to happen, because I want to challenge myself. I don't want to stay in my comfort zone. And the key to that is I expose myself to things that, I mean, random stuff. I'll go to a random event that is not even in my industry. I go places that I intentionally put myself places that I would not normally go, to expose myself to things that I do not know, because that is going to widen my lens of what is possible. A lot of us do the same thing every single day, right? We go to the same people, we go to the same groups, we hang on the same kinds of people, and we don't expose ourselves. And when you don't do that, your lens is really limited. So that limits the goals that you can set. So I set extreme goals to me that are, and like, how are you going to do that? I don't know. It's my goal. I'm going to get there. I don't know, but I'm going to get there. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue to put myself around people that I would not normally hang around, go to events that I would not normally go to. You know, I might go to a wedding creator event, or I might go to like a clown conference. I don't know. I go to random things, because you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what idea you may get going to that place. And it also puts you, I know some people want to do that because it's like uncomfortable, but it's in your uncomfortability that you grow. So you have to force yourself to be uncomfortable consistently, and then your vision will grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As an entrepreneur, if you're comfortable, you need to figure out how to get uncomfortable, because the uncomfortability is that you now have stretched yourself to the point where you're like, all right, I learned something. When you learn something, you grow. And that's the premise. And I actually would say, stop, if you're in an entrepreneurial mindset, stop hanging around the people that, and this is not a demand of any sort, but this is how I live my life. So I'm just gonna give it to you, okay? I do life coaching too, okay? Stop hanging around the people that you have always hung around, right? Your friends, your homegirls. It's cool to go out with them every now and again, but from an entrepreneurial mindset, you need to put yourself in the rooms with the people that you want to ultimately be around, that have the fruit that you're looking for. Put those people, be around those folks that you're like, okay, this is what I'm aspiring to be. So therefore, you're putting yourself in the room and in position where you're able to grow and to learn and to see how these people function in action in different concepts. Now, Vanessa, I am gonna have to start going to different clown events and things of that nature to expand my growth.
Honey, I will go everywhere. And I went to this dinner recently. Actually it was a recent, probably like, I don't know, 8 months ago. It was a lady that I do not know. And she put her event on Eventbrite, and it was some kind of dinner social about her. Okay. I do not know this person. I paid the $100-something. I got a ticket and I showed up, and everybody in that room was connected to her in some sort of fashion. And they would all come and say, oh, how do you know her? I don't. I'm learning her tonight, but I got 2 clients from that meeting, right?
See?
But now I know her, but we wouldn't do that because it's like, oh, well, I don't know her. How am I going to go to some random person's event that I don't know? I will go to anybody's event because you never know who's going to be in that room, and you never know what concepts you're going to learn. I stress this a lot. This is my really important piece. We as African-American, Black women, however you want to call it, a lot of times we stay with our own. We got to stop doing that. And it's not to say that we can't support each other, but it's a mindset, and I don't know where it comes from. I'm not gonna get into all the history, but we tend to stay with our own because maybe we're intimidated of other nationalities and races or things like that. But we have to stop doing that, and we have to go and talk to everyone, regardless of what they look like, regardless of all of that, because you never know what that person is going to teach you and what they're connected to. And what we do in our culture is completely different from what they do in their culture. And now you can go over. I will tell you this last little piece that, listen, when I started marketing, I realized that most of my clients were African-American. And I was talking to my marketer and I said, why do we only get African-American people? And they said, because it was a whole thing. But one thing was like, the way you talk is attracting to that genre. And I said, people always said that I talk Caucasian. And then she told me, said, no, you sound Caucasian to Black people. You don't sound Caucasian to white people. And so she was just teaching. But one thing is, she said, ask me, do you hang around Caucasians? Do you hang around Asians? Do you hang around? No. Primarily, most people that I'm around is people that look like me. And so I started to switch that up, but not just to get money, to widen my lens. How do they talk? What do they shop? How do they shop? What music they listen to? You know what we like. If you want to get a wider clientele, you need to know what they like. And the only way to know is to go in those circles, or to hire someone to teach it to you, but go in those circles. And now you can start seeing things from different angles. Oh, they don't like this. They like that. It's a different culture. And we got to get out of just hanging around our culture so we can have the world as our clientele.
And become global companies. See how that worked out? And become global international companies. Vanessa, on your next random visit, call me, okay?
Where
you call
are
me.
you?
I'm in Virginia. We talk.
I got
Okay.
Oh, I love this. Go ahead, Stacy.
I was just going to let the ladies know that we had a comment in the Facebook page saying that this workshop is awesome and you guys are giving great information. Well done. So I just wanted you guys to know that it's one of the comments that are coming across in Facebook. So one of the questions that we have is about branding. So how do you go about branding your company to be this worldwide company, to be this international company, or do you need to brand to your local environment, or what do you do about branding?
Man, that's a whole module in one of my training programs. Let me give you a synopsis real quick, okay? Branding is extremely important, okay? I'm not going to get too deep into it because I can talk about it because I've got the background of it, but this is what I'm going to tell you. If you have a logo, if you have a slogan, if you have a motto, trademark it.
I did think.
Okay, trademark it, because that puts you on a federal level, not state and local. State, you can, let me be honest, you can get away with having a logo out there for maybe your side hustle for a little while, but once you actually start to bring in revenue, you're going to want to trademark it, because somebody can steal that from you and there's nothing that you can do about it if it's not trademarked. You want to make sure that you trademark what it is that your logo, motto, slogans, whatever it is, you want to trademark it. Trademarking is not an inexpensive task. It doesn't cost much if you do it yourself, but you just need to make sure you know what you're doing, because you can't get rejected and then you have to send this attorney objection letter and all these different things that you have to do. But it's not that expensive. But if you get somebody to help you, they can charge you upwards of $1,200. Okay. And it's crazy. But trademark the important things. Okay. You don't have to trademark everything. That's not what I'm telling you to do. It needs to be based on a class. So wherever you're playing, let's say you do t-shirts, you do graphic design, you do stuff like that. If you want to make sure that your design is yours, trademark it. If you want your logo to remain yours and you don't want anybody to ever use it, trademark it. If there is a slogan, for instance, I have a motto that I use called "See it and be it." If you can see the vision, you can be the vision. It's trademarked. Nobody can use it. Somebody on the TV came really close to it. They said something close to "see it and believe it." And I was like, oh, if you just would have said "see it and be it." Oh boy, I was ready for that letter to go out. And I think it was on Oprah, one of Oprah shows. I was like, but I know. But you do want to make sure you trademark the things that are important to you. Branding, when you first start out, you do want to be known inside of your industry. So you do want to have some type of logo created to represent your business. But if you're like, this is not something that I'm going to stick with and I'm ultimately going to change it and you're not permanent, don't trademark it. Just go ahead and continue to use it until you get to the point where you've seen the actual vision that you want for your logo or for your branding, and then go from there. Of course, the importance of the people in marketing will tell you, you need to have colors and the colors need to speak to the audience and they need to do this and they need to do that. Yes, that is important too. But I always tell people, I always start out with trademark what is important to you, because then it's yours on a federal level. Nobody can take it in the United States. Now, when you start talking internationally and doing things of that nature, there are different applications that you have to complete from a trademark standpoint for it to be a foreign entity or for it to be a foreign, for it to be internationally recognized. But from a US standpoint, trademark it.
So I would say branding is important. That it's important. And I'm kind of going to go a different direction. I love trademarking. I've trademarked a lot of things. It's fun. It's not fun. But I think with the trademarking thing, I think a lot of people get intimidated by it. It's like the stock market. You're like, oh my gosh. But once you learn it, it's like, oh, listen, okay. But with branding, I would say it is important to brand your company. I think a lot of people just kind of throw it together, but your brand is important. You guys know when you see golden arches, we know what that is. We know the little swoosh, we know what that is, right? You know certain things by how, you see it. And so branding, for me, it was something that I didn't know at first. I actually hired this company. I don't know if I can say their name, I read my contract, but I hired this company and they taught me about, they taught me about marketing. They talk about my audience. I mean, they went deep into that thing. And it was just like, even like how about the colors, how certain, colors have certain reactions and like how you should use certain colors and certain fonts. And then it got me so deep into, how we broke down our audience, which you talked about earlier. Everyone's not your audience. Everyone's not your ideal client. We broke down our audience into tiers. So we might have, let's say we have a part of our audience is like 50 to 60-year-old African-American women. We would then take that and say, okay, they pretty much like this kind of thing, these colors, these fonts. They don't like videos, they like this. And it gets so intense when you really go into really deep marketing and like how to actually, I will take my little piece right here, y'all. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they have your entire lives. If you have a smartphone, it is over for you, okay? When I tell you the things that they know about you is insane, but I love it as a business owner, and you should love it too, because now you know exactly what your client wants, like to the T. You know when they're on the computer, you know when they're on the phone, you know when they're most likely to buy, you know when they're most likely to share. Like the fact that they know this person, she don't comment, but she likes stuff. She don't do this, but she'll do this. She only buys on the weekends. Like it gets so intense as far as what information they collect. And I always say, people say, they say, I'm turning my smartphone off, turn my location off, turn all this off. I want to run. I said, honey, I'm gonna use it to my advantage. Okay. If they gonna rack all the information up, I'm gonna use it to my advantage. If you already know who my client is, what they want, how I need to reach them, what color, what font, what video, what all that, I'm gonna use it to my advantage. So I would highly recommend that if you don't know about branding, marketing, sales, there's so much free content, first of all, on social media, on YouTube, right? There's so much free content on YouTube, and there's so many free courses on it, but I would highly recommend it, highly recommend it, because listen, I was the one who, like, when Facebook first came out with boosted posts, I was boosting everything. Yeah, I lost a lot of money. I did the Google ads, ain't know nothing about it. I had to learn, oh, you got to target these things? Target it where? I'm confused, okay? I had to learn all that stuff. And in so learning, I was like, oh my gosh, Facebook knows everything about me. But yeah, you need to learn it. You need to learn it. Super important. And you
So
know,
you got-
that's the thing. It's funny. Facebook, Instagram, and Google, they all listening to you on your smartphone. It's in your terms and conditions. Get over it. But people always say, oh, I don't like when they do that. I use it to my advantage. So let's say I'm looking for like some Michael Kors shoes. I'll say, I'm looking for some Michael Kors shoes. And guess what? They gonna start sending me ads and stuff. I don't gotta do no work. I use it to my advantage. All I gotta do is talk and they go find me what I'm looking for. Might as well. Just say what you're looking for. Let them do it. That's what they're doing anyway.
I agree. Hey, there's a couple ladies in the audience that was asking how to get in contact with you guys. So if you can share your contact information in the chat, that would be great so they can have it. One of the questions that I think we had was, you talk about Google and utilizing social media. How important is to have like a Google page or Yelp page or anything like that? How important is that?
Google it's important. All of them are important. It is this thing called SEO, okay? Optimization, okay? That is the way that people can find your company on Google, and on any other kind of internet search situation, Yahoo, Google, all of those browsers. It's important that you turn that on so first of all, if you're an LLC, which you should be, right? You're separating your business from your personal at all times with everything, your bank accounts, your information, your website, everything is separated, okay? So you should have a dedicated business email address. Do not have your personal email address and your business email tied together, because then you're out of compliance with your LLC. That's a whole nother situation, okay? But you wanna make sure that you have a business email address. With that business email address, even if you don't actually own the domain, but it's like, let's say it is rolitaclark@gmail.com, right? It's okay. I'm always going to tell you to buy the domain. So for instance, my actual email address is inquiries@twinpearlsconsulting.com. That domain is the @ so after the @ sign is what the domain is that you're purchasing. You can purchase the domain from Google for $12 a month, okay? And then you can make your email accounts and all of that, what it is. When you set up, let's say you do purchase it from Google, and I use Google a lot for a lot of clients that are looking to create businesses and have an actual business foundation and and own their domains, right? And create websites. Once you own that domain, you can create your website off of that. You can create landing pages off of that. You can do a ton of stuff. But Google has a thing called business analytics. This is where you're able to list out what your business or create a business profile that will pop up on Google. When they type in business education, more than likely Twin Pearls Consultants will be one of the top 5 that pop up. And it's because I set up that Google business profile page where I was able to tag certain words. I was able to use the SEO optimization component and make sure that I have all of those things set up. So SEO is a thing. You need to make sure you understand how to do it. You need to make sure that you are utilizing all of the tools and analytical tools that are available to you in some of these softwares that many people don't know about. So just go into your back office and make sure that these things are set up. But it is extremely important to have a Google business page, because how else are people going to find you? You can advertise your website all day long, but let's say somebody's like, I don't even know that you exist, right? Somebody's going to go in and type notary. Guess what? Vanessa's page is going to pop up because she's used the SEO optimization and she's utilized the tools inside of her software that are going to help her be seen to the unknown. And that's the importance of why you need to have these different pages and utilizing the tools that are in the background.
So I'm gonna piggyback on that. I didn't know SEO for a while. So yes, you need a Google business profile. I put the link in the chat for you guys. It's completely free. Do not pay for it. Okay. I didn't know about SEO for a while, and I started to study it and learn it. And when I tell you guys, you know how, like I said, they stalk in your life. Okay. Google, it's not just Google. The fact that, first of all, people say, oh, Google it. Google is now its own word. Google is a company, but it's funny how now, oh, just Google it. Okay. People who are looking for something, they're going to go on Google and they're just going to type it in, and then Google's going to show up whatever that they come up. And Google prides themselves on accuracy. So one of their little I don't know, tagline or whatever, I learned it from one of their little courses. Their goal is so that when someone searches something, they don't have to go to page 2. If they have to go to page 2, Google's messing up. Google also, so Google has an algorithm. You should study it. It's fun. I like to study Google algorithms and like social media algorithms, and it changes all the time. So SEO is not something that you just learn one time and you're done. You're constantly going to be learning, and it constantly updates. And so you want to be in compliance with Google. My thing is, it's like if you go somewhere, you have to follow the rules and the protocols, right? Google has rules, okay? And if you don't follow their rules, they're not going to show your page because you're making them look bad. You need to make them look good. And the only way you make them look good is when someone searches something and then your website comes up, you have to be a match to them as best as possible. And if for example, if people continually click on your site and click off, Google's going to drop you because you're hurting them. And a lot of people, and sometimes you could be what they're looking for, but your page is not optimized. Break that word down. Search engine optimization. When people search with this engine, you should come up because you're what they're looking for. And your site your service may be what they're looking for, but your website is ugly. And I'm not saying it's just ugly because it's ugly. Like, no one can read your words, or you have this whole paragraph going all the way down your page, and it's just like, what is happening here, right? You have no call to action anywhere. Your contact information is nowhere. Like, your site looks ridiculous, or your site looks like a spam site or a scammy looking site. It looks suspect. You got ads all over the place because you found out about Google ads. You said, oh, I want to make money. So now you got ads going all around your page, right? This stuff is hurting you. Okay, you can check. There are websites that you can use. There are services that you can use that will show you where you're ranking, how you're ranking. And so Google will reward you for doing what they want you to do. And Google has classes, free classes. Google will tell you, do this, please, so I can show you your site. But if you don't do it, if you never post to your page is dead, meaning you built it once and you went away and no one goes on it and neither do you, honey, Google's not going to show it because your page is dead. Okay. You need to be consistent on your page, full content, backlinking, it's so much that you do, tagging, naming your pages. Like, there's a lot of things that goes into SEO to optimize it, and I would highly recommend, before you pay people to do it, because you may have to, if you're just not there, go on YouTube and just watch some intros, SEO tips for 2022, because they've changed since 1990. I don't know if it was around there, but it changed since 2019. So go SEO tips 2022. And don't say, one thing I always tell my clients, don't say, oh, I don't know how to do that. Stop saying that.
Learn.
Okay? You can learn, or you can outsource. One or the other. Those are your options. If you have tried and you cannot figure it out, then you need to outsource, but it needs to happen, period.
Wow, so much information. Everybody's like, I'm writing everything you guys are saying down. I mean, you guys got so much information. Okay, this is the last call. Does anyone have a question? One more question before we have to end this presentation. I mean, ladies, we've been going for an hour and a half straight.
And I think Vanessa and I could probably go for like another hour to be.
I believe it. I definitely believe it. Is there any other questions before we turn it over to Sister Rhonda? No last questions? All right, Ms. Rhonda.
I have a question in that.
You got a question in the chat?
Is there a question in the chat? I'm sorry. Nope. Looks like everybody's putting there's a lot of different great links in the chat. So everybody please take time and check out the chat. There's links for the different sites the ladies were talking about, as well as your contact information. So please take that initiative to check that out. Okay, it looks like there's no more questions in the chat. There's no more questions on Facebook, ladies. We're Facebook Live as well. So there's nothing going on over there for that. Wow. All right, I guess we get ready to close out our presentation. It's been a great presentation, ladies, and we've been grateful that you guys, agreed to do the chat with us. Oh, but somebody said, Vanessa, you had some awesome energy. She always does.
Thank you. This was fun. I love it. I love helping. I love just
Absolutely.
giving information. It's amazing.
Somebody on Facebook was wondering if there was a way that we can save the chat from the live to Facebook so they can have those links. We'll try to repost those into the actual links on the Facebook site as well, so that way you guys can have them as well. But I do want to thank you, ladies. Thank you for your time, your effort. It was greatly appreciated. You guys gave so much knowledge, so many nuggets that you guys have dropped for us. I don't even know what to say, how much information. I've been taking notes. I got them all written down all over the place here. I'm going to do my homework tonight as well. I just want to say thank you.
It was a pleasure. This is my passion. So I thoroughly enjoy talking about business, helping people understand the premise of business, helping them to just grasp the concept of why or how to be an entrepreneur. And this is going to be a shameless plug. But Twin Pros Production Company, or Twin Pros Consultant Agency, in the new year, we'll be putting out their entrepreneurial boot camp modules, all virtual classes that take you from understanding business structure all the way to what do we have? We have 6 modules where it's business structure. We talk about accounting and finance and taxes. We talk about business funding. We talk about the overall concept of operations. So those modules, or that curriculum, will be coming out inside of 2023. So if you guys connect to our website, you go ahead and subscribe. You'll get the emails when that comes out, as well as, if anybody on here likes social media, I definitely will be willing to talk to you and look at your resume, because I haven't been on social media in a little while. So need that page back up. Okay. So if anybody's looking to get into that, or you've got a niche for it, come holler at me. I put my email address and contact information inside of the chat. But literally, we will have courses that are coming out that teach you exactly what you need to know about creating a strong business foundation, from taking an idea to fruition and taking that fruition into concept. So that's coming out inside of 2023.
Awesome. Well, Rolita and Vanessa, this is Ebony. I just want to, again, Stacy gave her thank yous. I want to give my personal thank yous. Both you ladies are awesome. I see so much great things for both you guys in 2023 and beyond. And for our attendees, Rhonda, did you have any other closing remarks that you would like to do? Again, thank you, Vanessa and Rolita.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. This was a dynamic program. I'm sure everyone has pages of notes from talking about your marketing and branding and search engine optimization. So we'll make sure that you have their contact information. We can definitely pin it to the Facebook, and we'll be sending out a survey for the event, so we can also email that information within our survey. So thank you again, everyone, for attending this afternoon. On behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Northern Virginia chapter, and our Economic Empowerment Committee, thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a fantastic Saturday afternoon.
Yay.
Bye, everybody. Make good decisions.
Thanks, ladies.
See you later.
Bye.